Eric Cartman has changed a lot over the years, and it isn't just Trey Parker's voice getting a little softer. If classic Cartman somehow got his hands on a working time machine, and don't say he couldn't, and rode it forward to see what he became, he would be sick to his stomach. Let's see all the strange things Modern Cartman has done that classic Cartman will never do. Classic Cartman, roughly seasons 1 through 10, maybe a little of 11, was something special. He was selfish, manipulative, racist, and completely out of his mind. That kind of special. But he also had a plan and standards. Terrible standards, but standards all the same. But somewhere around season 20, something changed. He started getting girlfriends, catching feelings, crying on the phone, and, I'm not making this up, crying over comments about his body. Even his schemes became weak. You haven't met a more evil schemer than classic Cartman. No one can forget what he did to Scott Tenorman. In fact, Scott Tenorman Must Die is considered one of the greatest TV episodes ever made, not just in cartoons or in South Park, but in all of television. And Scott had it coming. Imagine tricking Cartman into buying pubic hair for $10 by lying that someone else's pubic hair would kickstart your puberty. That would hurt anybody. I would have avoided the hallway until everyone forgets I fell for something so silly, and it didn't help that Scott found other ways to squeeze money out of Cartman. So, of course Cartman wanted revenge, but you'll never guess what he did. Cartman got Scott's parents killed, chopped their bodies up, and cooked them into a chili. Then entered that chili into a chili cook-off that Scott attended. Don't scream yet. Cartman then invited Radiohead, Scott's favorite band in the entire world, to fly to South Park, and when Scott realized he had just eaten his parents and burst into tears, they call him a crybaby. Hold your scream. Cartman then licks the tears off Scott Tenorman's face, saying,
Your tears are so yummy and sweet.
What the hell? Stan and Kyle's flabber was gasted. That is the most unhinged thing I've ever watched. Matt Stone and Trey Parker even said the episode took Cartman from being kind of a little shithead to probably the most evil kid in the world. Rolling Stone put it at number 2 on their list of the greatest South Park moments ever. That was a work of art. But it gets even more insane. 9 seasons later, in the episode 201, Scott Tenorman learns that his father had fathered a child with Leanne Cartman. Yep, that child was Eric Cartman. Scott Tenorman is Cartman's half-brother. What kind of Game of Thrones shit is this? Cartman butchered his own biological father without knowing it, cooked him, and fed him to his long-lost brother, all because of $16.12. You think that was the peak? Oh, my sweet summer child, wait until you hear what he did in Casa Bonita. In this one, Kyle's mom is taking Kyle and 3 friends to Casa Bonita for his birthday. This place is a beautiful Mexican restaurant complete with cliff divers, a fake waterfall, Black Bart's cave, and sopapillas. It's Cartman's heaven on earth. But there's a problem. Kyle has taken Butters instead of him. Now, a normal kid would throw a tantrum, but Cartman, oh no. He convinces Butters that a giant meteor is about to destroy the entire planet. He then locks him in a bomb shelter and leaves him there, saying he wants to get the others.
If I don't make it back in time with the others, then it will be up to you to repopulate the Earth.
Cartman then tells everyone that Butters just disappeared, all so he can take his place. The town panics and begins to search for Butters, so Cartman moves him again, this time into an abandoned refrigerator at a gas station. The fridge is picked up by a garbage truck and dumped at the county landfill. Butters comes out, sees the tower of trash, and immediately thinks that the meteor is struck and the trash is what's left of South Park. So he starts building a new civilization in the dump. I mean, talk about messed up. When he's caught, a cop asks him whether being that evil was worth it for one afternoon at a restaurant. Cartman says,
Totally.
Imagine that! A child built a new society in a garbage dump because of you, and your answer is totally? That is classic Cartman. He'll go completely off the deep end to get what he wants without remorse. He even builds a cardboard robot costume called AWESOM-O 4000, ships it with himself in it to Butters' front doorstep just so he can get close to Butters and learn his most embarrassing secrets to use as blackmail later. Fortunately for Butters, he already has embarrassing footage of Cartman dressed as Britney Spears dancing with a Justin Timberlake cardboard cutout. Does Cartman fold? Does he let everyone know he's human and risk an angry Butters releasing the clip? Nope, he stays in character. For days. He gets poked by doctors, the United States Army nearly ships him to a facility to be reprogrammed as a weapons system. He still stays in character. He's only exposed when he farts. Classic Cartman was insane, an insane genius. Modern Cartman has good schemes too, but they're weak in comparison. The worst part is, sometimes he even tries to avoid scheming. For example, in season 21, Cartman dates Heidi Turner until the novelty wears off and he wants out. Fine, people want out of relationships all the time, but how does the greatest schemer in South Park history engineer his exit from a 4th grade relationship? Not with a 3-part exit strategy, nope. Cartman tries to outsource his problem to the boys. How disappointing. Sons of Witches, that's the episode. Kyle, of all people, has to sit him down and tell him to just break up with her. But okay, fine. The witch plan was a disaster, but he has a better plan, right? Well, in doubling down, Cartman's plan, and I use the word plan very generously here, is to secretly feed Heidi real KFC while lying to her that it's vegan. He gives her a whole bucket of chicken and tells her,
It's called Beyond KFC.
Oh, wow.
It's all plant-based, soy protein, and you gotta taste this. Just try it.
he wants to fatten her up so she'll become unattractive and the relationship will end without him having to do anything. But why can't he just break up, look her in the eyes and say, this is not working, I'm out? Anyway, I'll say this move is like classic Cartman. He doesn't stop at feeding her junk. He talks trash about her to the boys. He even calls her a bitch. He even chips away at her self-image by using her insecurities against her. By the time he's done with her, she's fat, anti-Semitic, loud, and planted in front of the TV with junk food. Who does that remind you of? Cartman! She's become Cartman! I won't lie, this was not very fun to watch. It went from slapstick comedy to real toxic scenes. Classic Cartman wouldn't like that either, and it still does not work. Heidi figures him out and threatens him with a gun. She screams,
You controlled me and manipulated me and turned me into this.
imagine becoming Cartman. Yeah, I'll be murderously mad too. Later, she breaks up, and that's when he does the unthinkable. He cries. You'll never understand how shocking that is until you know what classic Cartman thought about girls. In Bebe's boobs destroy society, Bebe hits puberty early, so all the boys begin to fight over her. What does Cartman do to get the girl? Nothing. Absolutely nothing, and I respect it so much. While every other boy's tripping over themselves like puppies chasing a ball, Cartman stays in his basement playing with his dolls. He couldn't care less. Girls aren't Cartman's priority. He either ignores them, uses them, or gets rid of them. In Breast Cancer Show Ever, he does everything to avoid apologizing to Wendy after he mocks her breast cancer awareness presentation and she challenges him to a fight. A normal kid will immediately square up or apologize, but classic Cartman tries every trick in the book to avoid fighting or apologizing. He even says he'll tell his mom on her. He then tries to say his mom has cancer too, but when all of that fails, this kid poops on Mr. Garrison's desk just to buy more time. He sacrifices his own dignity just to avoid apologizing to one girl. Classic Cartman was completely in control of himself around girls, and that was his superpower. Someone needs to teach modern Cartman that. We first see the cracks in season 11, the episode where Cartman lies that he has Tourette's so he can say slurs to anyone. Classic Cartman. Thank goodness Cartman himself ruins everything. Since he's been saying whatever comes into his head for so long, his brain gets used to it. In a room full of people, he blurts out that he's been lying about the Tourette's. He even blurts out that he cries at night because he doesn't have a father. Then he blurts out he's secretly in love with a girl named Patty Nelson. He even says,
And I'm secretly in love with Patty Nelson. I fantasize about kissing Patty Nelson.
Whoa, Eric Cartman has feelings? He's so embarrassed that he sprints to a bathroom and locks himself inside. That is how I know classic Cartman will be shocked that he became a boyfriend in season 20. How did that even happen? I'll tell you how. All of Cartman's gadgets are smashed at the same time Heidi Turner leaves Twitter. So, they're two lonely kids with nowhere to go. Well, at least they found somewhere to fall into. Love! They start dating! That sounds quite strange to say, but here we are. Suddenly, the boy who didn't care for girls is now telling the whole school,
I don't know if many of you know Heidi, but she is really smart and really funny.
I'm sorry, really funny and really smart? I cannot. Classic Cartman will not believe his eyes and ears. He does redeem himself later, I'll give him that. Like I said earlier, the sweet phase doesn't last and he becomes terrible, but that's before the scene that would make classic Cartman get into a car and drive into a wall. After he's been a very terrible boyfriend and put it down, Heidi breaks up with him. What does Cartman do? He calls her crying. Eric Theodore Cartman cries and begs her to stay with him. He not only begs, he even leaves a voicemail.
You have to take me back. You have to. I'm gonna kill myself, Heidi.
Embarrassing. Well, Heidi does what Cartman would have. She gives the voicemail to Stan, and Stan plays it in the boys' bathroom, and all of them howl with laughter. Serves him right. That is one of the most spectacular falls from grace in television history. To me, that's a longer drop than Humpty Dumpty. But does Cartman take the loss quietly and move on like any self-respecting manipulator would? Of course not. He writes a rap song, an original rap song called Eric, We Don't Want You to Die. And then, oh, it's not over. In the season 21 finale, Splatty Tomato, the scene where Heidi pulls a gun on him, she later calms down and breaks up instead, Cartman immediately grabs the gun and points it at his head.
You break up with me, I will kill myself.
What is happening? Classic Cartman would have puked. Kyle was definitely surprised too. You know what? Let's talk about Kyle. Kyle was the one person on this entire earth that Cartman loved to hate. I think their dynamic is one of my favorite rivalries ever written in animation because look at what this rivalry produced. In The Passion of the Jew, Cartman convinces the entire town that they should wipe out Jewish people. He even dresses up as Hitler. Kyle has to physically stop him at one point. In Tonsil Trouble, Cartman contracts HIV from a blood transfusion. Kyle laughs just once, but Cartman gets so angry, he breaks into his bedroom in the middle of the night with a syringe and gives Kyle HIV as payback. Their rivalry was ugly and messy and perfect. So what the hell happened in Cupid Yay? I'll tell you what, Modern Cartman did the unthinkable. He saved Kyle. And the why is even more annoying. Yep, I know it was mainly a parody of Kanye. That's why they had the character Cupid Yay shooting the whole school with anti-Semitism arrows on Valentine's Day and saying Hitler was a great guy. Still, I can't believe Cartman stops him. The same boy who was dressed like Hitler some seasons ago suddenly thinks it's too much to say Hitler was a great guy? And when the whole school has Kyle backed into a corner, Cartman also runs in to save him. He even pushes Cupid Yay to the ground and makes him take his medication by force. This is like a cat rescuing a mouse from a trap. Well, that's the beauty of South Park. Expect the unthinkable. Still, if classic Cartman ever watched this episode, his jaw would drop. But even that is small potatoes compared to what happened in the post-COVID special. This one's set 40 years into the future. Adult Eric Cartman is a rabbi with a Jewish wife named Yentl, 3 children named Moishi, Menorah, and Hakam, and his little blue hat is now a kippah. This one made me chuckle because what? Cartman grew up, found God, and the God he found is Kyle's? Kyle doesn't believe it, and I'm with Kyle on this one completely. Classic Cartman would set the entire state of Colorado on fire before he allows that future to exist. Religion isn't even the point. The point is it would mean Cartman changed. Classic Cartman never changed, but modern Cartman keeps changing so much that he's even become afraid of consequences. Consequences could hit classic Cartman like a truck, and he would just go right back to being awful before the episode ended. The best example is Cartman's mom calls in Caesar Milan on him, the dog whisperer. She brings this man who works with dangerous animals to tame him because she's officially run out of ideas. Guess what? It works! Caesar Milan treats Cartman exactly like a dog. He uses a firm voice, even snaps his fingers at him, and Cartman starts doing what he's told like an obedient golden retriever who just wants to be a good boy. And he hates it. He's so horrified by his obedience that he plots his mother's murder. He tells the boys,
My mom must die so I can have a place to live, but without her trying to run my life.
Later, he breaks down crying. And not because he feels sorry or guilty, no. He's crying because someone actually found the cheat code to defeat Eric Cartman. He hates it more than he's hated anything in his entire life, including Kyle. Oh well, he has the last laugh in the end. During Caesar Milan's final visit, his mother asks if he wants to see a movie with her, but Milan reminds her she's just a client. Nothing more. When he leaves, she feels so alone that she offers Cartman anything he wants. Cartman tests the waters and asks for 2 toys instead of 1. The second his mother says,
Yes, darling. You can have whatever you want.
she loses. If he can control her again, it means the torture's over. The episode ends with Cartman smiling with satisfaction. Classic Cartman made sure he never learned anything. Modern Cartman threw that stubbornness in the trash, especially in the episode where a new principal arrives at South Park Elementary. The boys need to get rid of him, so they go to Cartman. Even that surprises me. Cartman now needs a pep talk to confront a school principal? But fine, the pep talk works. He marches into the bathroom where PC Principal is and tries to frame him. But the second he says capiche, PC Principal throws him into the mirror, drives his head into the sink, and beats him till he bleeds. In fact, Eric Cartman ends up in a hospital bed. But that's not even the most painful part. In that hospital bed, Cartman decides that the principal might be right. I'm not kidding. He seriously considers the possibility that his opponent has a point. He even tells Kyle,
And it's time for us to grow up.
Kyle is so shocked he asks if that means he won't call him a dirty Jew again. Cartman says,
No, I'm going to call you my friend.
What? TV Tropes noted it too. Cartman, of all people, gives up and decides to go PC because he was beaten up by PC Principal. Of all people. He does snap out of it eventually, but that scene where he was considering becoming somebody else? Classic Cartman would never. There was no version of seasons 1 through 10 where you could punch Eric Cartman hard enough to make him consider agreeing with you. But that's not even the worst part. In episode 5 of that same season, Cartman reads negative comments about his body after he posts a picture. What does he do? He cries in the principal's office. Hold on. Eric Cartman, who once sat still as a therapist body-shamed him, who also calmly ruined that therapist's life in just a few seconds with a blackmail so heavy the therapist's wife killed herself? That Cartman sat in a school's administrator's office crying because of Twitter comments? I'm sorry, but these are simply not the same people. Matt and Trey have acknowledged it's harder to keep a character interesting after 25 plus seasons on air. That's longer than some people's marriages. But at the end of the day, Cartman has become even more complex and unpredictable than the version we first met. Classic Cartman might not like it, but then again, I don't think modern Cartman will care.